Hey, this is Chris with another episode of I Buy Old Records, and they really are old records this week. These are going to be 7-inch finds, all from the 1950s or 1960s, a variety of genres. We'll have some rockabilly, some old rock and roll, some soul, some garage, some country, some classic rock, as you'll see along the way. A lot of these were bought for a dime when at the Crazy Chaotic Antique Store when I was getting them 10 for a buck. A lot of them were bought for like 50 cents or a dollar. And so let's get into it because it's mostly going to be a show and tell video. So I got one of these old school 4-song EPs in the cardboard. So it's Elvis Presley with some songs from Kid Creole from 1958. The cardboard's a little bit not nasty, but that was a 10 center. So that's okay. We got Tommy Tucker with High Heel Sneakers on the Checker label, R&B from 1964. We got Ernie Cato. This one's pretty rough. As you can see, there's a bit of a chip, but I decided, hey, 10 cents. Mother-in-Law on the Minute label from 1961, R&B Swamp Pop. We got some La Bamba, the original. We got the Richie Valens version, of course, Delphi, 1958. I've got a version of it by Los Lobos from the 80s as well. Slow Walk by Bill Doggett, R&B on the King label from 1956. We got some Johnny Ray, some pop. No Regrets, Columbia, 1958. I like the Columbia Yellow and Black. I guess this would be a 4-eye. Never heard people talk about 4 eyes, at least in that setting. A couple by Chubby Checker on the Parkway label. Of course, the Twist. And then he did his version of Whole Lot of Shakin' Going On as well. So those are from 1960. 1956 on Specialty, we've got She's Got It by Little Richard. Some Maybelline on a very worn looking chess record. The vinyl's better off than the label, and the label on the other side with the B side, even that one's not very good. But hey, that was a 10 center as well. We've got the Escorts. So I accidentally bought some doo-wop, not Arrow to Hearts from 1957 on the OJ label. I'm not much of a doo-wop fan, but sometimes I accidentally buy it, especially if it's cheap. Kenny Lester, some early soul, 1962 on the Era label, Love Letters. And then to change things up, we'll get into sort of some Latin rock, Tex-Mex sort of stuff. Blue Norther by the Sir Douglas Quintet with Doug Somm, Tribe Records from about 1965. And then we'll get into some garage and some psych with the Electric Prunes on the Reprise label from 1966. I Had Too Much to Dream. I actually found 2 clean copies of it, both for 10 cents. Then some random findings over the summer from other places. So here we got some classic rock. What a Shame and Heart of Stone by the Rolling Stones. And this is a very early Rolling Stones single from 1964 on this old school London Records. So this is before the Rolling Stones records and the Tongue. And then we've got some Moody Blues. This is Tuesday Afternoon on the Durham or DRAM label, however you pronounce that label's name. Coral. We've got Jimmy Wakely with some Honky Tonk from 1955 with a song called James Dean. He was kind of a singing cowboy from the 40s. This one's pretty cool. This is Johnny Duncan and his Bluegrass Boys with Last Train to San Fernando. This is a French pressing on the Columbia label. It's sort of hillbilly, skiffle, rockabilly. I've picked up several by Wanda Jackson. I'll just show one. A Little Bitty Tear from 1962 on sort of the purple Capitol label. Also found several by Johnny Horton. I think this is the oldest of the Johnny Hortons I found. I'm Coming Home from 1956. Sort of the red, the maroon and gold Columbia label there. And some Hawkshaw Hankins. Patanio, The Pride of the Plains. And this is, they didn't have the exact date on Discogs, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere between 1959 and 1963. Of course, Hawkshaw Hankins died in 1963 in the same plane crash that took Patsy Cline and Cowboy Copas. There's more. We got another one that left us way too young. Eddie Cochran, Summertime Blues and Teenage Heaven. I think this is an early 60s reissue on the Liberty All-Time Hit Series from songs that had been recorded in the late 1950s. Here's a hit single for you. So this is Little Eva with The Locomotion on Dimension Records. And so this is one of the things, I bought a box for $5. I just wanted like the little record holding box, and there were records inside, mostly 50s, although this was from 1962, and some 50s novelty records that I ended up sending over to Slambo. We've got this James Moody's Band, which is sort of some bop from 1955. Yellow and black label, which is a bit dirty. And then probably the most valuable of the records I found is this song called Wild One by the Renowns on Everest label. I bought a $20 record or so, 1960, as you can see on the Everest label. It's a pretty cool song. Then we got the Easy Beats, Friday on My Mind. So that's sort of poppy garage from 66 on United Artists. A couple rarities of the unknowns. I'll buy these if I can find them cheap. So You Never Heard of Eugene Leonard on Corsi Records with this song called Two Shadows. Sort of a country-ish rock sort of song from 1962. This one ended up being a bit of a disappointment. So we have Lee Allen on Wand Records. Don't Wait Till the Morning Comes. And so I looked this up on my phone when I was at the particular store that it was in. And so Lee Allen was like a saxophone player from New Orleans who'd been part of the early rock scene. And then later in his career, he did cool things like play with the Blasters. So I thought, oh, cool. And then I got this, and it's like there's no saxophone, and it's a pretty meh pop song. It's supposedly like a $15 record, although this Lee Allen is definitely not the saxophonist Lee Allen, although it's listed that way in Discogs. Don't quite know the story. Another sort of little known one is this Jimmy Hughes on the Fame label with the promo punch through it. So we've got Try Me and Lovely Ladies. So it's Soul from 1964. You would think a group called The Forum on Penthouse Records with a song called The River Is Wide would be pretty cool. It's not as cool as it sounds. From, I believe, 1966. Let me thumb down. Okay, just a few more to show you here. Lonnie Donegan, Pick a Bale of Cotton. And this is on the Pie label, a UK pressing, 1962. He was a skiffle guy. This one by Zalman Yanavosky, who was most noted for being in The Love and Spoonful. Zally, and it's on Buddha Records. And notice that whoever owned this record before me took a marker and wrote LSD and DFFT, whatever that means, and drew all over it on this side and sort of decorated the other side as well. And on the other side, they have everything backwards because it was trippy and cool, I guess. And that was from 1967. Then we'll show you some Star Day, Johnny Bond, 10 Little Bottles, so it's probably a drinking song from 1965. And then we're already over 10 minutes, but let me show you just a few more. Harold Dorman, Mountain of Love on the Rita label, although the Rita label looks pretty similar to the Chess. I wonder if they were hooked up. That's a rockabilly record. Aaron Neville, Tell It Like It Is from 1966. And that red that makes it look like a bullseye was added on by somebody. It's just supposed to be a yellow and black label. And then we've got the Seeds, Pushing Too Hard, some garage on G&P Crescendo from 1966. And then the last one I'm going to show, pretty beat up label, but this is Fire by the Crazy World of Arthur Brown. So there you go, a bunch of random singles from the 1950s and 1960s. If you thought any of them were cool, tell me about them, or if you think this sucks, well then, don't tell me about it.